just concluded the class B operation, and we said that in order to take care of crossover distortion, the IC Q is not taken as 0, but it is shifted slightly up, so that very small collector current flows even in the absence of the signal, and this current is the trickle current. How to provide that trickle current? The biasing schemes, we said about the two schemes, the voltage divider bias and diode bias. In diode bias, the diode takes care for the 0.7 volt which is required for forward biasing the emitter base junction of the transistor. In the voltage divider bias, let us take a very simple example that how to calculate the value of that resistance. The circuit voltage divider the circuit you will recall was this. This is the voltage divider bias. Let us take that this VCC is 40 volts. I am taking a illustrative example that how to calculate the value of this resistance R2 to provide 0.7 volts, which will be sufficient to keep these transistors Q1 and Q2 into ready to conduct state, so that they start conducting the moment that input signal is available. No portion of the input signal goes without its representation in the output. So, this is 40 volts, and let this resistance be R1 be 500 ohms each, and this is load resistance is 8 ohms. Loudspeaker, for example, they are of 8 ohms, 4 ohms, 16 ohms, like that, and we have to find out the value of R2 to provide this voltage VBE of VBE equal to 0.7 volts. This example will illustrate several points. Now, this R2 and this R2, they are identical, because this voltage drop here is 0.7 volts, same as this here also 0.7 volts. I made a statement that for the analysis purposes it is sufficient to take the half circuit. So, to find out the value of this resistance R2, I will take half part of it, and that is this. This is 500 ohms, this is R2, and now because I am taking half a circuit. So, this from 20 volts this will be this from 40 volts it will be half of that will be 20 ohms. So, we have to find out the value, so that this voltage is 0.7 volts. It is very simple that this circuit we transform in this way. This is 500 ohms, this is R2, and here is that 20 volts battery, 20 volts. How to find R2 such that it produces a voltage 0.7 volts here. I am sure the problem is now clear. How to do that? What is the current I through this circuit? The current will be, current is by simple Ohm's law, and these two resistances are in series. So, 500 ohms plus R2. Now, this current passes through both these resistances. In series circuit, same current flows. The voltages will be different. In the parallel resistances, the voltages are same, but the different currents propagate, mind it. So, IR2 has to be equal to 0.7 volt. Now, the IR2 0.7, so we take IR2, we substitute I here, this becomes 20R 500 plus R2, and this has to be equal to 0.7 volts. From here we find out the value of R2, just R2 comes out to be very close to 18 ohms. Simple. Cross multiplication will give the value of R2 as 18 ohms. So, a 500 ohm resistance here and 18 ohm resistance here, 18 ohm, 500 ohms. So, that completes the circuit, and this 18 ohms will provide the trickle current. It will forward bias the transistor emitter base junction, so that it is in ready to conduct state as soon as input signal comes and this transmits. This is, I wanted to illustrate 2 points. One is that half circuit is sufficient for the analysis of push pull amplifiers. How, no matter how complicated is the analysis, it is always done with half circuit, and the second point was that simple methods are there to calculate these parameters. The next power amplifier after A, B and AB is class C power amplifiers. Class C power amplifier. All power amplifiers are quite different from each other. In B operation, as we have seen, that we have to operate it in class in push pull amplifier circuit. Only then we get a useful configuration for practical applications. Class C power amplifiers are very different. Here we choose the operating point much below the cutoff. For example, look here, in class A amplifier, this is IC and this is VCE. This is AC load line, and we chose the operating point in the center to make the maximum use of the maximum swing of the currents and voltages. This was class A amplifier, class A power amplifier. In B amplifier, we shifted this operating point to this point. Q is here, this is VCE and this is IC. So that when there is no signal, this is one physical reason that why the efficiency of class B operation is high, because in this case even when there is no signal, the current ICQ and this voltage VCEQ, so 50% current continues to flow in the circuit, and that is a shear loss. In this case, in class B operation, this is class B amplifier. When there is no signal, ICQ is 0. Even in AB operation, that is very small current, trickle current is very small, but let us keep the operation pure B operation. So, there is no current and hence it is not driving, the collector circuit is not taking any power from the DC source, and that is one reason that the efficiency is high. In this case, when the input signal comes, then the transistors will be conducting and then whole process starts, and the efficiency here 25%, here it was 78%, 78.5 theoretical, but practically the efficiency is close to 70% in well designed circuits. Now, this was the cutoff point. In class C operation, which are now currently under discussion, we choose the operating point far away from the cutoff region. That means here this is the line, and we choose we bias such that this is the operating point, we shift it here, so that the conduction will occur only when the high pulse, only for this portion the conduction will occur. For remaining large part of the input signal, the circuit will be dead, the collector current will be 0. It will occur only for these pulses which come in this active region. A transistor conducts only when it is operating in the cutoff region, in the active region. So, this is class C operation, and various features we now talk about class C operation now. First, we take the fact that this is class C power amplifier, class C power amplifier. This is IC, the collector current flows for much less than 180 degrees of, that means only for a small fraction, that is only for a small part of input signal. Now, the circuit, the most commonly used class C amplifier, it makes use of a LCR resonant circuit, and when it is used the way we are with the collector, it is called a tank circuit. So, what is the circuit and how does it work? Let us talk the basic circuit. This is the circuit. This is commonly used circuit for class C operation. Now, here C1 and C2 are coupling capacitors. This signal, input signal, which for simplicity we will take a sinusoidal signal, and actually in practice also sinusoidal input signals are used with class C operation, and this is coupled to the amplifier. Here that the power is coupled to the load RL through another capacitor, and that is C2, and this is the tank circuit. This is tuned to the signal frequency f, the resonance frequency for the tank. This is the resonance frequency 1 by 2 pi L into C. Here this is the resonance frequency of this tank circuit, and this is the same as f is resonance frequency of the tank and also equal as the signal frequency. This is the meaning that the tank circuit is tuned to the signal frequency, and the frequency will be given by 1 by 2 pi L C. Now, this is basically a common emitter circuit, and the power we are taking from the collector, we are giving, as in the case of a C amplifier, we are giving the input signal at the emitter and base. And the important thing here is, as I mentioned, that in class C we bias at much away from the cutoff point. It is so negative, and that negative bias is provided through this inductance from here. By a DC source, a negative voltage is applied depending on what are the powers for which we are designing the circuit, what will be the input pulse available, and according to that the negative bias we will choose. And at the output, it is to be discussed that because of this negative bias, as I discussed here, only for small portions here, small portions of the positive part of the pulse, input pulse, this circuit will start conducting. You know, the transistor conducts only when it is in the active region, and because of this negative bias, first most of this part, this will be falling within this negative. This is negative, that will be added up. So, it becomes more negative, non-conducting. I am talking just of the positive part of the input pulse, that for a major portion will be taken up to compensate for this negativity of this biasing. This, the emitter base junction of this transistor becomes conducting only for this part, and the output. So, this tank circuit will get periodic very highly powered collector current pulses. Collector current pulses will be striking this resonant circuit, and this I will soon explain that this circuit is capable of converting those pulses into the original sinusoidal, complete sinusoidal signal. In the absence of this, if we have only this circuit, then only these amplified pulses will occur, and these pulses will not be of any practical use. We can get back to the sinusoidal signal in a amplified, much amplified form through this tank circuit. Now, let us first graphically see whatever I have said, I will explain through these figures. This is the input signal, this is omega t, and this is the input voltage. This is where we have biased it, and this is V s. Only this portion will make it forward bias. The emitter base junction will be forward bias only here. This is V I correspond, and this is, let us see, I B, the base current in this circuit. Base current will flow only when emitter base junction is forward biased, and this will be forward biased here. So, only here the base current, this is I B, only here it will flow, and this will give rise to this is I C, this is the total period or 360 degrees, and this is the very small fraction, few tens of degrees, for which the collector current amplified. This base current will be amplified, and this is the collector current which will be flowing, and these high current pulses, they will be striking the tank circuit. Now, tank circuit we can take separately, and we can explain that how these pulses will give rise to a completely sinusoidal signal. Let us see here that this is the tank circuit. This is the tank circuit, this is L, this is C, and this is the effective R, and this pulses, they are current pulse is striking this LCR circuit. This LCR circuit, we are showing here this the inductance, the inductor has some series resistance, and that series resistance we are representing in as a equivalent to a series resistance. So, this R is parallel equivalent of series resistance of the inductor. So, this current pulse strikes. A short current pulse is like a high frequency signal, because this time, inverse of this time is the frequency. So, shorter is the pulse, higher is the frequency. So, for that the capacitor will act as a short circuit, and the current will flow through the capacitor, and inductor will appear as a large impedance. So, the current will pass through this capacitor, and this capacitor will be charged, and this will acquire almost the same charge as here VCC, because I will show you that finally what we are going to have. This is the output voltage, and this is V out omega t, then the peak value will be close to VCC. So, the capacitor is charged, and we have this situation. This is charged to slightly less than VCC, because there will be some dissipation in the this resistance which we have shown, and so this will be close to VCC. If this is 50 volts, this may be initially 48 volts. Now, this capacitor is charged, and this will get discharged through this resistance, and the current will pass through the inductor. In this movement, the electrostatic energy of the capacitor is transformed into the magnetic energy in the coil, and so the current, this will start discharge till it gets this voltage gets to 0, and then the reverse process will start, and this capacitor will be charged from the current flowing through that electromagnetic energy, magnetic energy is stored into this, it will be sending current in the opposite direction, and this will be charged with opposite polarity. The voltage will further be less, but still it will be closer to VCC. By then the pulse, and again because this is all periodic pulses of high frequencies, because this we will see that these class C amplifiers are used at radio frequencies, kilohertz and megahertz. So, the pulses will keep on repeating after very short time, inverse of the frequency. So, this process will go on and the sinusoidal output will be continuously available. This is like a flywheel, that a flywheel, if we keep on periodical pushes, if we give, then it will have almost not almost, it will have a continuous motion. And if we do not give continuous push to it, then it will start falling in its speed because of friction. That friction is equivalent to the resistive part, the losses which will occur. That is why I said that this will be charged close to VCC. Here it will be further falling, but the fall is only few percent of the original VCC value. So, this is still close to VCC. By then the another clock pulse will come and will charge it again to the same voltage, and the process will repeat. This way continuously we get a output pulse here like that. You remember that in CE amplifier there was a phase reversal. So, the phase reversal is obvious here too. This is a common emitter circuit, as I said, because we are feeding the input at the base with respect to ground, and we are taking output at the collector with respect to ground. So, this way the continuous pulses will occur. Now, power relations and efficiency. Power relations and efficiency. This I have said that the transistor in class C operation is off for a major portion of the input signal. When no signal is present, it is totally off, and the sinusoidal output of the amplifier has a peak voltage Vp, which will be close to VCC, actually VCC minus VCE saturation. The saturation, this is fraction of a volt, and so this is very close to VCC. This is the peak voltage, the output of the amplifier. Sinusoidal output signal has peak voltage which is Vp and which is very close to VCC. And in this circuit, when the series DC circuit, DC resistance is replaced by its AC equivalent, then the circuit will become this is RL, and this is the R which is parallel equivalent. So, we write PR, PAR. This is parallel equivalent resistance of series resistance of the coil, and this is load. When we do the AC analysis, then this we have to take as short. So, when this is shorted, these everything will come in parallel, and this is what has been shown. And here we can replace it by, this is C, this is L, by this, where this is the effective load RC, and RC, this is L, this is C, this RC is actually R parallel in parallel with RL. So, this is the AC, and the maximum power delivered to the load, maximum power delivered to the load, PO max, PO max, this is equal to Vrms square by Rc, where Rc is this effective value of the load, and this is equal to Vp, peak value, divided by 2 by R, and this is Vp square by 2 Rc, but Vp is close to Vcc. So, this is actually Vcc square by 2 Rc, very high power actually, because this resistance will be quite low. The DC resistance, this P RR is a very small resistance as compared to any resistance. So, this power will be quite high. This is the AC power available from class C amplifier, and the input DC power, the input DC power is Pi equal to Vcc into IDC, but IDC does not flow for the whole 360 degrees of the input signal. This we have talked several times. In class C amplifier, it flows only for short duration. In fact, we can make assumption that the collector pulse is rectangular in shape, like this. This is, say, the total period T, and the collector current flows only for this much time T, and this is perfectly fine, because we have seen that collector current flows only for a very short period of the total signal. So, this is the total period of the wave, and the output, this is IC, this is IC, and this is the peak value IP, peak value, and then the DC component of this, we can write IDC, this will be equal to IP, peak value, into T by T. A small, if this is 0, suppose this is 0, then IDC drawn will be 0. It is very clear. The collector current flows for a very short period T in comparison to the period of the wave. So, this is the expression which we have to use with this. So, that P I becomes V d c into, this is actually many times talked in terms of duty cycle, and for good operation, efficient operation, duty cycles are around or less than 10%. So, this is to be replaced I p t by t, and then efficiency P 0 by P I into 100. This is the percent efficiency, and for class C operation it comes close to 95%. Practical efficiencies are also around 90%. That means if we are supplying 1 kilowatt of DC power to a class C amplifier, 1 kilowatt, 900 watts will be available as a sinusoidal AC, very high power. So, that is the reason that we are studying class C operation, but there is a limitation with class C operation, in spite of the fact that it is most efficient out of the 3, but it can be used only for the generation of sinusoidal signals. That means carrier waves. All these television and radio signals are the carrier wave on which your signal goes. So, the carrier wave is generated by class C power amplifiers, and because carrier is very powerful, it is in megawatts, and so there the efficiency is the biggest consideration. And the last thing about, so the limitation is only that sinusoidal signals can be generated, and as I said that these class C power amplifiers are used for carrier wave generation. So, they are in kilohertz and megahertz or still higher frequencies. So, that higher is the frequency, smaller is the value of capacitor and in inductance required. Here this expression I wrote, the resonance frequency f is 1 by 2 pi under root L C. So, very high frequencies, very small values of capacitance and resistance and inductances will be required in the circuit. So, very high Q tank circuits are possible with such small values. Now, after efficiency, the last thing is power dissipation, that is also very low in this circuit. Power dissipation, and that is P d. This can be shown to be equal to V c E set by V c c. This is P o max. So, this is also very small because this V c set is very small. So, but one can calculate if we have the data for these voltages and this power, then power dissipation can be calculated. So, that finishes our class C operation, and in fact this module on power amplifiers is complete. What we have studied, I am now going to summarize. We started with the fact that concept of AC load line that proves very useful in these in the analysis of these power amplifiers. Power amplifiers are analyzed graphically, and the reason for graphical analysis. The reasons are, the major reason is that because in power amplifiers large swings of currents and voltages are involved. Power is current into voltage, so the swings have to be very high in power amplifiers, and large swings are going to use a major portion and in fact the total active region. And we have seen that the curves are non-linear, and hence the parameters will vary from point to point. So, the analysis as we have done for small signal amplifiers will not be very accurate. Power amplifiers are analyzed graphically, and for graphical analysis this AC load line helps. It is a great tool and helps in our investigation. So, we got the two expressions, one for current, one for voltage, as the two major the two intersections on the two axes for the load line. Then we studied the then the classification. Classification, the small signal classification is done like C, common emitter, common base, common collector. Power amplifier and these MOSFETs and FETs, they are also classified like common source, common drain and common gate circuits. This classification power amplifiers is entirely different. It is based on the fact that output current is available, that means the transistor is put to conduction to what fraction of the input signal. If it conducts for the whole 360 degrees, it is class A operation, and in class A operation efficiency is 25%, which can be increased to 50% if instead of using a capacitor coupled load, if we replace that RC, the resistance, by the primary of the transformer, then transformer coupling can be used to couple the load, and then the efficiency goes up to 50%. And the reason for this enhanced efficiency is that we save the power which goes as a waste in class A operation, that in the absence of the signal, the half the current, half of the maximum current is still used in the circuit. ICQ is in the half of the maximum current that we save, and the efficiency can be raised to 50%. But again, the use of transformer coupled load is selective. It has some limitations in the sense that transformers are bulky, and the frequency response is if it has to be good, the transformers are expensive, but many times they are used. In class B operation, the conduction, the transistor is put to conduction for half the cycle. So, the upper half appears from one transistor in push pull case and the other half will appear from the other transistor. There is a common load. So, at the load the complete signal is available. The efficiency is very high. This is theoretical value is 78.5%, but practical efficiencies are also close to 70%. But normally in class B we use push pull amplifier, and in class then we took class C operation. In class C operation, the conduction is for a very short time as compared to the period of the wave. That means the duty cycle is kept close to 10% or less. Sorry. We discussed the circuit, what is the basic circuit of the class C amplifier, and how does it work, how do we bias the emitter base junction much below, much more negative than the cutoff, and the circuit remains inactive, non-conducting for a major portion of the period of the wave, but it conducts with high efficiency only for short time. So, the high current pulses at the collector, they excite the LCR resonant circuit, which is called a tank circuit, and we can get the sinusoidal signal back from these sharp collector current pulses, because collector pulses as such are not of any practical use. If we are using for any other purpose, then most of the information which will be contained in the portion for which the circuit is not conducting, that information will not be available. So, this is the sinusoidal signal can be obtained by the use of a high Q resonant tank circuit, and that puts a limitation on the class C operation, that class C amplifiers are narrow band. Narrow band tuned amplifiers. So, they have one single biggest application, and that is of generation of carrier signal, and so it is very efficient. The efficiencies we have seen, they are close to 95%, and which is very high, and that is why they are very efficient circuits, and the power dissipation is also very low. This I said in the beginning, that every system makes use of power stages. These systems are multi-stage systems in which the signal processing is done at a small signal level by using the properties of the small signal amplifiers and small signal circuits which we studied. But finally we require power, for example, to drive the printer or some motor or speaker. So, the large power is required at the output stage. So, last one or two stages are the power amplifier stages, and out of that, depending on the application, these amplifiers which we have studied, they are used, and that finishes our module on power amplifiers. The next we will be the last module, that is next lectures will be on differential and operational amplifiers. These amplifiers are very different. Operational amplifiers popularly are known as op-amps, and they are very important. Today they are almost everywhere there, the op-amps. In analog circuits, in digital circuits, they are very widely used. So, we will be studying differential and operational amplifiers.